Alonso coming back off the bench. What do you think is the single biggest thing that he can help you guys improve upon?
Single? That's a tough question because he's obviously got many facets to his game. But if you pressed me for a single thing, it was just his presence on the field. His on-field presence is good in it. Defending areas of the field, phases of the game, and it's also attacking-wise. He started a couple attacks from us front to back, so just his mere presence on the field was good.
You see more confidence out of the other guys? Does he free other guys up? How did you see him impact the rest of his teammates after he came on?
Good players always make players around them better. I think Ozzie has always made people around him better. Early on in his years, you know, just his defensive output was such that he could let the attacking guys do what they needed to do. But he's also, you know, come full circle in his game, and his, you know, his passing, his completion percentages, those are all very high as well.
What about his communication with players? When he comes back on defense and slots in there, can you talk about how he communicates with the players and sets up that defense?
They all do in shapes or forms. They're pointing, they're using verbal communication. They're all doing that, but Ozzie's certainly one that knows, you know, he thinks a game should be played, so he's very vocal.
Alex Roldan got his first start. What was it about his body of work that pointed to you that it was time to put him in the starting 11?
Well, he's been training well all throughout preseason. You know, I told you guys this before, and maybe a little bit after the game. I hate comparing him to Cristian. He's his own player, but he does have some of the same characteristics that I like. He's determined. He's got a little bite to his game. You know, what I would say is that, you know, okay, again, I'm comparing the two, but, you know, Alex had that shot from top of the box. It was very close. I think Alex has a lot of nice attacking movements in his game. Cristian, you'd always think, okay, is he a number 6 or an 8? And, you know, he does some of the dirty work that goes unseen, but then he scores that goal, right, to outdo his brother, right? So it's good to have them both on the field. And, you know, Alex has a good future if he keeps his head down and keeps playing.
You grew up with brothers. Do you see any kind of similar sibling rivalry stuff on the pitch, or do the two of them seem to get along and compete very well?
I mean, you know, you'd have to ask Alex and Cristian how many days in the backyard they went after each other. I mean, it's the same with my brothers, but it was 2 against 1, so I was always outnumbered.
How did that film study go, going back to that Kansas City game, and maybe some of the good things that you did, some of the things that need a lot of improving?
Tom Childs does a great job. You see him out here. He's got the drone up in the air, filming all the trainings. He does a good job. We have the entire staff work on the pregame scouting of our opponents. Jimmy, Preki, Tom, we all put our input in, and then we come together as a group to make final decisions on tactics and how we want to play. So having that little bit of break, that long break, allowed us to be prepared for that game. When you have 3 games in a week, that's when you're kind of, you know, you got to be really organized, do some of the work prior to maybe your opponent's last game. But, you know, they did a good job preparing the tactics for that game.
Brian, getting back to Cristian, has his ability to see the offensive third improved and continues to improve? I get the defensive part and the passing.
I think he's always had it. I think what you see out of Cristian is he's such an unselfish player, in the sense that he always wants the team to do well. That, you know, could he have a few more goals or assists? Could he go forward more? Sure. But, you know, then there's those holes that he always covers for, you know, for Nico, for Clint, for all of the attacking guys, for Victor when, you know, last year. You know, he does all those little things that make the team go outside of scoring goals and creating assists. So when we moved him up into that number 10 spot, you got a sense of what he is capable of doing playing out of that position.
So would you say that he's starting to see and take those opportunities more now?
No, he's always took them. I mean, you guys, the stats guys, would know more, but he scored some pretty important goals for us last year.
Magnus started on the bench for you guys. Was that an injury concern or just a coach's decision?
No, that was coach's decision, just the way we want to set the team up. And there was no injury with Nuhu either. Those were just decisions that we made.
With Magnus, given you guys need a little bit more creativity, it seems like, what does he have to do differently in order to break into that starting rotation more consistently for you guys?
he was in consideration. He's always in consideration for that starting spot. Just away from home against that team, I elected to go a little bit more, guys that could do the work a little bit more. So that was my decision.
Victor Rodriguez is participating in practice today.
Yeah.
What's his status?
It's getting better. It's getting very better. Very much better.
What about Waylon Francis? What's
Waylon trained a little bit today. He we'll have to check in with him as the week progresses.
Brian, it's your first look at Darwin Quintero in MLS, but you guys have had some experience against him in CONCACAF Champions League. What do you remember about him on both Santos Laguna and Club America?
Well, what I remembered and what I saw against Portland is he's very, very good. So you don't have to look back too far to find out that guy's a quality player. He brings an added dimension to their attack. They had some guys that could put the ball in the back of the net, but he's something different. He's something special. Off the dribble, 1v1, can break guys down. So he's a handful.
Do you have to do anything different to prepare for him in particular?
Normal stuff. Cut off delivery, double team when you can, stay on your feet. There's a lot of different ways you can try and combat that, but overall, it's always, if we can get our team going in the right direction, putting pressure on a visiting team, that's the way I'd like to do it.
Getting back to Nuhu for a second in that game, with some of the instances in which he was caught out of position, was that physical mistakes that he was making, or was it mental mistakes? And I'm thinking about the header. I'm thinking
it's
about
up here. Yeah. He's got to learn. He's still young. These are the growing pains that you get with a young player, any position. I was going to say young left back, but any position. Young players need to kind of feel their way through. They're put in circumstances that are not easy. Russell's a good player, and he struggled a little bit. But the point there, Jeff, is that he has to learn from this game and push forward. The trap will be if he doesn't learn from the game and continues, then maybe his career is not as long as he would hope. If he learns from this and can push past it, then everybody would be happy.
Can you come back out here with the guys today and with Nuhu? What do you do as a coach to make sure that this doesn't really harm his confidence and get him too down on himself after a game like that?
Look, it's reality, Matt. We show the film. We hold the players accountable. They have to hold themselves accountable. There was a good conversation right after the game among some of the senior players about that particular play, that second goal. And it's their team. I loved it. That means I don't have to talk as much and let them solve it. So we're not afraid to, have the kid learn. He has to learn. And then I have the beauty of having Jimmy Traore to come and show him individual film and kind of, boost him up a little bit. So it works.
Did getting your first two goals of the season, getting the first two goals of the season, did that seem to give some relief to the team, some confidence back?
Yeah. When we'll poke that ball in, I think all of us, players and coaches, sigh a big relief, and the fans.